control. Gravity is all that I know. She's over me. She's over me. She comes with her hypnotic dance. She holds me here with only a glance. She's over me. She's over me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Paranormal Portal Bedtime Stories from Beyond. I'm your host, Brent Thomas. And what can I say? I'm thrilled to be here, and I'm thrilled that you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, I can't believe how quickly some of you guys fly into the chat. You're beating me in there, and I launched the damn thing. So I don't know how you guys are doing it, but that's pretty impressive. Great to see you all, everybody that's come in so far, and I'm sure more of you will continue to come in, but happy Monday Eve. You made it through the heaviest day of the week, and I hope your heaviest day of the week was fantastic. Lots of things going on here, busy day, but some amazing things all together. And Doug Sauce, thank you for the kind words today on that post. That was really sweet, and I'm humbled, but I appreciate that. I appreciate it a lot. So anyway, I hope you guys are doing wonderful. I'm ready to go if you're ready to go. So I guess since we're all probably ready to go, well, I only have one thing to say. It's time for bed. And hello, Ra. How you doing, brother? Good to see you. Thanks for stopping in to say hi. I just need to tell you, brother, I've gotten a lot of amazing feedback from your appearance on the show, so we're going to have to go ahead with episode number 2 featuring Mr. Ra Castaldo in the very near future. Ra has expressed an interest to return as well, which is always wonderful, so we will be sure to let you know when that's going to happen, but Ra and I will touch base and try to coordinate that and get him back on the portal. We'll suck him back into the portal for another round of that, and I'm sure we'll go on some amazing adventures wherever the ethers take us. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got stories for you. Hope you're all ready to be entertained. I will do my best to entertain you for the next 45 minutes to an hour, however long I end up talking, but I'm feeling better tonight. Thank you for all the kind words last night. I knew I wasn't like, it was just indigestion, just rotten indigestion, just felt, gross. So it wasn't anything hardcore, anything intense. It was just like, I just didn't feel good. So, but I appreciate all the love and kindness you guys express. That's incredibly sweet and nice, and I it means the world. But yeah, I feel better. I go better. So anyway, let's get underway here. I guess we got. By the way, just live. I think last night, Duke did post the one of the wrap up episodes from the Coloma trip where we went on up there, and Dan Pruitt and myself went up there, and the first video does have me on there. So if you're interested in hearing more of my discussion with Duke, be sure to go to the Brian Sullivan channel on YouTube, World Bigfoot Radio, and it was a great discussion as well. But he features a whole lot of footage and information from that adventure, as well as a great discussion between Duke and myself about all that had transpired up there, and it was just an amazing time. I really miss being there. I really miss that that suspense and the energy of being there. It was just really cool. So definitely check out that episode. Again, World Bigfoot Radio posted as of last night, so it's up and live on YouTube. Check it out. You can hear my feedback from my end of the journey and some of the clips from my videos up there. So anyway, that's all the recent news I can think of right now. But the phone lines are always open here on the portal. If you'd like to call in and be a part of it, you have something absolutely frightening or paranormal that happened to you, please feel free to call in 720-923-0500. Again, 720-923-0500. And I'd love to hear from you. So otherwise, you can always email. I just got a great email today from a listener that I had never met before. But she sent some stuff from when she was over in the land of the Dutch and some things she saw. So very cool. So yeah, feel free to email paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Again, paranormalportalradio@gmail.com. Throughout the course of the show, if you think, oh, I should call in, I got this, but what was the number again? The number is always right up here on your screen. You can see it up there, the little tiny numbers. That's the phone number for the show. So I hope you guys will call in and take part if you got something to share. So anyway, excuse me, clear my throat, get ready, because here we go. First story tonight is coming from California. This story is something I've not personally experienced, but my mom told me this story so many times that I feel as though I have actually experienced it. When my mom and dad had my older sister, Katie, they were thrilled. This was their first child, and she was healthy and beautiful. The first few months with Katie was like with any other baby. She would cry in the middle of the night, and my mom or dad would go to the baby room and try to comfort and quiet her. When Katie was about 6 months old, my mother was woken up. My father was away on a business trip, and yet again by her screaming and crying. And as usual, my mom climbed out of bed and pulled on her robe, and all of a sudden the crying stopped. Puzzled and a little bit alarmed, she ran down the hall to see if anything was wrong, and when she got to the doorway, she saw the most amazing sight. An old woman was sitting in a rocking chair and humming softly to the baby. My sister in her arms. The moonlight from the window shone right through her, and my mom could see the dresser behind her head. Instead of feeling alarmed, my mom felt really warm and happy. She watched the old woman until the woman finally noticed that eyes were on her, and she looked up and smiled at my mom, and then put a finger to her lips, and my mom returned the smile, nodded, and walked quietly back to her room. Wow. The next night, my mom was woken again by Katie, but instead of crawling slowly out of bed, she jumped up and grabbed her robe and almost ran to the baby room, and there was the same old woman was standing next to the cradle and was rocking it gently back and forth, soothing my crying sister. She again smiled at my mom and turned back to Katie. This odd phenomena occurred a few more times before my mom said anything to the old woman. She had been standing in the doorway, looking at the woman, calmed my sister for a few minutes, and then she finally asked, "Who are you?" The old woman didn't even turn towards my mother. It was as though she could not hear. My mom asked the same thing, but again, the old woman didn't reply or show any sign that she had heard my mom at all. My mom only saw the old woman a few times after that. She guessed that once my sister started to walk and talk, the old woman felt maybe she wasn't needed anymore. Although she did not actually see the old woman when my older brother and myself was crying as babies. She said she always felt the motherly presence in the room, and no matter where we live, my family has moved several times since my sister was a baby. She says she always feels that the woman is always there watching over us. Sometimes when I'm sad or crying over a death of a friend or a family member, I feel as though someone is standing over me trying to comfort me. And this always leaves me with a warm feeling inside, and it helps me overcome my grief. My brother says this has happened to him too. My family's never been able to find out exactly who the old woman is. Maybe she's a relation or someone like a guardian angel. All we know is that we always have a friend with us, and no matter what happens in our lives, she will never leave us. Wow. I gotta say, that's a lot of trust. That's a hell of a lot of trust. You have your baby crying in a crib and seeing an old woman rocking your baby and just be like, okay, I'm going back to bed. I appreciate that someone might be soothing my kid, but if I've shown up, it's like, okay, it's my turn now. Um, I don't know if I could go, oh, the ghost has got this handled. No problem. I'm going back to sleep. I don't know if I could do that. I don't think I could get there emotionally. But I guess these people did, and everything turned out okay. I was just waiting for the hammer to drop on that one, like, ooh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? But no, it was just a lovely story, so that's good. So there you have it. All right. The next story, another one of many. Oh, Jesus. All right. We'll read this one. All right, hang on to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. This might get a little thick. This one's come from New Jersey. It says, when I was in my 20s, I was getting a divorce from my husband, so my kids and I moved back home to my mom. And since she's only had a 2-bedroom house, I moved into the basement, which was semi-finished, and the kids took the other bedroom. A short time later, she had a little bedroom made down in the basement just for me, and I've always been interested in ghost stuff and by the occult and demons, but the occult and the demons scare me. I didn't even like to watch movies or shows about them, and I also noticed that most horror movies had something bad happen in the basement, so I avoided those too. Well, one night I was reading one of the books in the Omen series and threw it across the room because it just creeped me out, and vowed never to read a book like that again, especially in the basement. I don't remember how soon after that occasion this happened, but I'm sure it was a few weeks or more. I woke up with a startle and felt like the devil himself had entered the room. The pure evil, I felt, was hard to explain. I couldn't see him, but in my mind I could visualize him. Once I felt him leave, I ran upstairs, woke my mother up, and told her I had a bad dream because I didn't think she would believe me that I saw the devil. I was shaking so hard it was impossible to calm me down. I would not go back downstairs, so I decided to sleep on the couch in the living room. I found my old Bible, opened it up to the 23rd Psalm, and read it out loud, and then placed it over my heart and eventually fell asleep. After reading some of the stories on the submissions, I wondered if I had the sleep paralysis that so many people talk about, but I could move okay. I know I was awake because I didn't feel any time missing from the bad feeling, to the time I could run out of the room, but who knows? Years later, now being a born-again Christian, I know that there is good and evil in the world, and as I have experiences with both, I remember one time talking to my pastor about my fear of Satan, and he told me that he is not like the way he is shown on TV and in the movies, all scary and bigger than life, and that he's the great deceiver and a lot more careful in his trickery. Well, on my way home that night, I taunted the devil, basically saying that I knew his tricks and I was wise to him. And in parentheses it says, not a good idea. That night, an old boyfriend called me up begging to talk to me because his wife left him and he needed a friend to talk to. So, like a fool, I met to talk. By the end of the night, oh dear God. By the end of the night, I was raped and told that the wife had not left him. She was away and would be back in a week. The joke's on me. The great deceiver struck again. I was crushed, and then I realized that my taunting Satan brought this on me, and what a fool I was thinking I could outsmart him. My warning to you is to watch what you say and never taunt Satan. I mean, that's a horrible, horrible thing. But I have a hard time making that, well, you think you know all my tricks. Well, here's a new one. I'm going to make sure that you get, taken advantage of by your ex-boyfriend. I think that was just her own poor choice and had nothing to do with, I mean, it's a horrible event, and I feel terrible that she experienced such a thing, but I don't know. And that's I guess, a problem that I have is when people, they want to project all this bad things on some being. It wasn't me, it was the devil. I didn't do this, it was the devil. The devil made me do it. I mean, that's you can't grow in yourself and in your spirituality and in your understanding and in life by projecting blame to something else. It just doesn't work. You can't you know what I mean? It is easy, and it's been well, in my opinion, one of the great feelings of so many religions to say, well, it's not that people are bad, it's just that there's a bad thing out there making people behave badly. And I don't doubt that there is evil. Don't get me wrong. I know there is. I don't doubt that there's a lot of things conspiring against people, but I don't know. To me, this is a pretty cookie cutter trademark projection, instead of taking accountability for putting yourself in a really bad situation. And I am so sorry that she experienced this, and it was horrible, and that by no means excuses anything. It's just this person was horrible to do this to her. That was just, what a trashy waste of tissue. But I don't know. It's just me. I'm going way out on a limb here. I'm really exposing a lot of my own spirituality by saying this, and I hope it's not offensive to anybody. But we have to grow. We have to acknowledge our weaknesses, and we have to own them. And when you own your failings, you can correct them. But if it's never your fault, you can't grow from it. You can't become a more realized person or a better version of yourself until you own your failings too. And so that's my opinion of that. Take it or leave it. If I'm pissing somebody off out there, I'm truly sorry. It's not my intent, but I just really think that it's important when you create problems for yourself that you own that, because otherwise you're going to continue to create problems for yourself, and you're going to continue to blame some other external force that's acting against you. I mean, that's we can't control external forces acting against us. We can control ourselves becoming victimized by our own bad choices. So just my 2 cents. Take it or leave it. I apologize again if that's offensive to anybody. That's not my intent. But whether there is a devil pulling those strings or not, it's still a person making a choice, and a bad choice at that. So anyway, yeah, that's a horrible, horrible situation. So I don't know. You guys will have to let me know what you think of that. I again, it's not my intent to alienate any of you. I love you all very dearly and truly, but at the same time, I don't know. I can't perpetuate that kind of thing with good conscience. I can't do it. I have to speak my truth, and if you like that truth, that's great. If it can resonate with you, that's great too. If it can't, just understand that it's my understanding, and it's not meant to hurt anybody. All right, so the next one comes from the state of California. All right. I'm just looking at the comments to see if anybody's going, hey, what the hell? There you go. All right. Well, I think you guys are kind of on the same page as me. And again, yeah, I appreciate that. Okay. Thank you, Sage. All right. So let's continue on. California. We don't think she really left. Recently, I had submitted a story about a ghost of a little girl that haunted my current home. After some time and praying for her, I think we managed to help her cross over. This sounds really familiar. And I know they're referencing another story, but I think this person has actually written another story in reference to the same thing. It's been good for about a week since that incident with the daisies on my basement floor. I remember that, yeah. However, yesterday we just found out that my fiance is pregnant. We're so excited. We're sitting on the couch watching TV and writing a list of stuff we would need to start picking up before the baby comes. And when Chris got home from school, Jerry jumped off the couch and just smiled at him, which is probably really weird for Chris. And I would feel weird too if some woman just jumped in front of me and had a big grin on her face. Chris looked at me and I was smiling too, obviously, and he chuckled, "What the hell is wrong with you guys?" Well, after a long and awkward pause, I said, "Jerry's preggers." Chris was so excited, he gave Jerry a big hug, and for the rest of the night, all he could say was, "I'm going to be an uncle. How cool is that?" That night, Jerry and I sat up in bed and talked for a little while about money, if we could afford the baby, so on and so forth, even if we couldn't, we're obviously going to keep it. I don't know of many Christians that would approve of abortions, and suddenly we began to feel very uncomfortable. The signal on the TV kept cutting in and out, and the temperature dropped quite a bit, and we were both confused, and we thought that we were able to get through to the little girl and got her to cross over unless there's something else in the house that we weren't aware of. And just then we heard a noise coming from down the hall from Chris's bedroom. We both ran in to see what was going on. Chris was on his hands and knees picking up a bunch of books that he said just flew off his shelf. He had nothing nice to say about what was going on. We helped clean up the mess and we went back to our room. When we left our room, we had both of our bedside lamps on as well as the TV, and when we got back, they were all shut off and our window was wide open. Jerry and I got out our Bible and started praying in tongues to get whatever it was to stop because we weren't going to take it. Nothing happened for the rest of the night. I just got home from work today and had to submit this story, and nothing has happened while we were gone, and I am home alone right now, so I hope nothing does happen. If this continues, I'll keep everyone updated. I personally think that the little girl didn't leave. She might have just been hiding or just keeping to herself for the last week. I don't know, but I think that she isn't very happy with the fact that my fiance is pregnant. It's just a thought. If that is the case, it's just a little too creepy for me. God bless. Well, I suppose they can get jealous. They can do that. I don't know. All right. So, what am I missing here? Just looking at what you guys are all talking about here. You guys are wonderful. All right. So, Alaska's next, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to Alaska. I'm not really sure if this took place in Alaska or not. Actually, this is a story that my grandpa told me. And no, it's not fake. He said it actually happened to him. One day, quite early in the morning, my grandpa woke up to the sound of a dog barking. And when he opened his eyes, looked around, he saw a ghostly-looking lab. I believe he said it was, sitting by his bed, still barking at him. He told the dog to go home and went to bed, and the dog disappearing... And the dog, I guess, disappeared. But he says the dog disappearing. He obviously wasn't affected with the fact that it was a ghost, but A week went by, and the dog kept appearing, barking at him. Every now and then, Grandpa would wake up to the dog gone, but it is still barking. After a while, he decided to go to my Grammy and asked her what he should do. And I guess my Grammy is, or was, someone who could see and talk to ghosts and such on a regular basis. Well, after he asked her, she told him next time he saw the dog, he'd ask what was the matter. And so the next morning, my grandpa woke to the dog barking again. He followed my Grammy's advice, sitting up and looking at the dog. And then he asked, "What's the matter, little fella?" The dog responded, like actually talked, telling his story of why he was there. The little guy was looking for help. When he was alive, he had a master and best friend who was a young girl, and he loved to play with her, and one of the games they played was to hide her toys. He had recently hidden one of her favorite toy dolls in some woods nearby and saw that the little girl was upset because she couldn't find it anywhere. He was going back and get it when he was run over by a truck and killed. So he asked if my grandpa could go and get the doll and return it for him. My grandfather accepted, and the dog said that he hid it under a maple tree. That day, my grandpa went into those woods, and just as the ghost hound said, right under the maple tree, the only one in miles in these woods, was a little toy doll. Grandpa picked it up and went back to return it to the girl, and after he had done so the next day, Grandpa woke to the ghost dog again, only he wasn't barking this time. And Grandpa told the dog that he had done what he had asked and returned the doll to the little girl. The dog thanked him and disappeared and was never seen again after that day. I think the story is really sweet, and so is that nice dog. I've told many of my friends it, and seeing as my grandpa is disabled and can't tell it himself, I thought I'd share it with all of you. It just goes to show that not all ghosts are bad, and sometimes you just need to ask them, what's going on? What can I do to help? And maybe you can help them move on. Hey, that's true. The unfinished business. It's like on the, in Ghost Hauntings 101. Look for the unfinished business. What is the unfinished business? If you can help them finish the business, maybe they can go home. California's next. I know that one's a little out there. I mean, talking dogs and stuff, but here's the thing. I mean, I know I've had pets that were far more dynamic than just animals. They were very conscious, very emotional, sentient beings. And I'm not saying just, that they had a profound personality. I'm saying that they were like humans. They were like human in an animal body. And it doesn't surprise me at all that after, that perhaps sometimes these guides or these benevolent spirits become animals to interact with us, to look over us, to watch over us. I've heard many stories through the years of like these strange dogs showing up that seem to be like guardian angels. And is that possible? Maybe it is. We often think that we are human beings and thus we are this one manifestation of a divine spirit, and everything else is just incidental for us. But I think that everything is the manifestation of this divine spirit. And as such, it is all divine and profound and has the capacity to be anything. It doesn't, just because it's a cat doesn't mean that it couldn't be a very conscious and understanding cat that really is there to serve a spiritual purpose and perhaps act as a protector, as a comfort, as whatever the person needs to get through a tough period of their life. And that they could indeed be angels or guardian spirits of some kind that are just manifesting as these animals. Very real manifesting. I'm not just talking like animal spirits. I'm talking like they manifest as, in my opinion, as actual dogs, cats, whatever. Might be a deer in the woods that appears with a very profound message, and somehow people get those messages. And so I think that these guardian or divine spirits are all around us, and they'll take whatever form they need to, and they'll become a part of our lives for as long as we need them to. So is it hard to believe that after passing, one could go, hey, it didn't work out quite right, could you help me out? No, I think it makes perfect sense. So it does seem a little different for our sensibilities, but if you've been a pet owner and you've had that, I've been at many pets over the years, but there are certain pets that they're so much more than just pets. There's something so deep and profound to them that it just defies the actual, this is my faithful, loving dog. It's like, wow, this is a very specific spirit that seems to have a reason for being with me. And so I think that, we hear them termed in some practices as familiars. That would be a certain example of these profound spirits that are embodied within these animals. And they're there for a purpose. And, for some people that might be like, oh, that's that other stuff, but, it's not just so cut and dried. There's not just one religion and everything else is screwy. It's just, there's lots of religions. There's lots of approaches to a divine spirit. So, I think you just got to find the one that resonates with you. And sometimes people do use a Wicca or witchcraft practice. And, if that's the way that they're finding their connection to the divine, then so be it. Who am I to judge such things? So I just thought I'd throw that out there just because I know hearing an animal talking ghost is going to seem like, what? But I'm here to tell you, I believe in it. All right, California. Get through the fluffy stuff here. I'll give some background information first. Sorry, got to actually enunciate those sounds. I'm 19 years old and I'm a strong believer in Christ. Yet I have some personal demons that I've been struggling with for some time. I've not always been a believer. I have my reasons for becoming religious. I've always been really skeptical about ghosts and the like since this stuff never really happened to me. Lately, I have been feeling a little dark. I feel like something is going to happen, something bad, and I have a strange gift for being empathetic and can usually tell exactly what is going to happen in the near future. The other night I was laying in my room, about to go to sleep, when the first incident happened. It was probably after 3 a.m. and I began to hear something moving in my room. It was a scraping or dragging noise, and it sounded like it was getting closer in intervals of about 10 seconds. Of course, I got really freaked out, but I did not want to move. I knew in my mind that this was not a physical threat, and it was something I still can't explain. It moved closer and closer to my bed until it sounded like it was almost underneath me. Well, I finally jumped up when the poster right next to my head basically blew off the wall. Well, I prayed a little bit and went back to sleep. For a few days, nothing happened, but I was having a really bad feeling still. I got home late at night last night, and I was having a little trouble sleeping, and I finally started to drift off to sleep around 4. I began having a vivid dream about my job. Everything was fine until, bam, something hit me in the face. And I'm not talking about a gentle poke. Something forcefully hit me in the face and woke me up. I can't explain the feeling exactly. It wasn't really painful, but it felt like it had some strength behind it. It also felt like it hit my entire face, front of my head, with equal power, and it also took me a few minutes to really think about what happened since I was in a deep dream. I laid in bed scared for about 20 or more minutes, and I didn't want to move or do anything, as I really had no idea what the hell just happened. I prayed some more and tried to get back to sleep, and it's a little hard when something just hits you in the face and you have no idea what it was. Well, it wasn't over. I began drifting off to sleep again, but this time, after laying in bed for about an hour, it was starting to become light out. I felt safer and fell asleep again, and I began having another dream that I was in a restaurant in the dream, and I started coughing and choking, and I instantly snapped out of it again, and this was when things got crazy. First of all, I was paralyzed. I couldn't move, and my heart rate shot up noticeably. I can't describe the feeling of what was happening perfectly, but something was trying to control me and was succeeding. My ears were ringing, I began hallucinating, and I was not dreaming or anything at this point. I was completely awake and alert of what was happening. Whatever it was forcibly moved my head towards the right. I have a poster on my wall of a few girls, and it turned into a picture of a hand, like controlling sinister hand, and I began freaking out as I fought to breathe and move and break free of whatever had control of me. I almost began to panic, and I was being full-on attacked, and I remembered to try and stay calm, but it was becoming hard as whatever this was really fighting for control of me. I prayed some more, and it seemed to give up, but I was wrong. It attacked again after about a minute, stronger and harder than before, and this time my blankets even fell off my bed. I kicked my feet a little bit and prayed more. I could barely speak, and when I did, I could only mumble, "God help me." This occurred not 1 or 2 times, but 5 or 6. Each time there was about a minute break between. Between each attack, I felt exhausted and couldn't get up right away. I was trying to catch my breath, and it would happen again. Each time, shadows would move all around my walls, and on what I believe was the 6th try, my door opened up, and at this point I thought it was my mom, and I tried to mumble something, and I managed to say, "Mom, help, I can't move." But there was no answer. My door shut, and then I felt something grab my leg. I began freaking out more than ever. My door opened again, and I heard something come towards my bed, and then something under my bed, and I tried to shout out for my mom, but no words could escape my mouth. I believed it attacked one more time before it finally left, and then I realized that my mom never checked in on me this morning. It's now 7:30 a.m. and I have yet to sleep. I'm no longer scared. I actually feel a little calm. I know it's gone for a little, but I am very clueless at this point. What the hell is happening to me? I've never had an experience like this before, and after reading some stories on the site, I gather it's a pretty significant one. Somebody please help. Psalms 144:1. Blessed be the Lord, my rock, who trains my fingers for war and my hands for battle. That's pretty intense. I don't know. You know, we hear different versions of this sleep paralysis thing, as far as sometimes people experience an old hag. Sometimes they experience these shadow things, these clouds, these dark, sinister clouds. Sometimes they experience these hooded, rooted. I was going to say robes and hooded at the same time, and I ended up with rooted, ladies and gentlemen. But hooded, robed figures on black cloaks or whatever hanging out around the bed, and it sounds, with the multiple directions of the activity, it sounds kind of like the latter, that he was experiencing those sinister shadow type people. I don't know. That's got to be terrifying. Very, very strange. Very very bad. I don't know. I guess that's the end of his story. Whatever. So I assume it didn't happen again, or maybe we'll run into another one of his stories eventually. But that's my heart goes out to that guy. That's got to be terrifying, especially to hear it coming from so many different directions. It's one thing when it's just one presence pulling and tormenting you, but it sounded like it was like several different directions he was being assaulted, and that's horrible. But it does sound like the only ones that I know that seem to come in that situation with the paralysis and all that seem to come from different directions, and multiples of them are the robed, hooded figures that seem to be shadow people of some kind. So, not good. You got to keep that stuff away. Excuse me. All right. So the next one is New Jersey again. This one's pretty short, though. It says, I was in New Jersey, admittedly quite young, when I dreamt about the doll. It was one of those soft-body dolls that wasn't common for children in the early 60s. Oh, Raggedy Ann. Raggedy Ann or Raggedy Andy. With the smiling ceramic face. No, that's not. What the hell is he talking about? Okay, maybe it's just one of those more generic kind with the ceramic faces, but the soft bodies. And the soft plush body. It was one of my very favorites, and I carried it everywhere, like Linus carries his blanket. Peanuts reference. In my dream, I was standing on a cement bridge, watching the current of the swift-moving river, zipping quickly under my feet. Suddenly, I saw my favorite doll face up in the water, being dragged through the water far below my feet. I looked around quickly to see if there was anyone I recognized, but the streets were full of just indifferent strangers. So I raced across the road to peer on the other side of the bridge, and here came my dolly, still face up, practically imploring me to save it from the waterfall looming ahead, when it crashed over the side, tumbling in a volley of other dolls and styrofoam cups and detritus. I don't know what that word is. That's a new one to me. But this person obviously has a bigger vocabulary than I have. Detritus from other observers. I woke with a start. Sitting up in bed, I wondered if my doll were really missing. Had it really gone over the edge of a big waterfall? I looked for it in vain, under the bed, in the closet, smashed in the blankets, or some other toys, and to this day, 45 years later, I've never seen it again. Huh, that's pretty wild. The doll is just missing after that dream. Is the debris left by water flow? Detritus, or how do you wonder how you say it even? But it's the debris left by water flow. Thank you, Duke. I appreciate that. You obviously have a bigger vocabulary than I do as well, which doesn't really take a lot. I'm not a really I'm not really the pontificating sort. Boom. See what I did there? But I don't have an extraordinarily expressive vocabulary, but I know some words. I try to use them as well as I can. Excuse me. All right, let's go to Virginia. This is Virginia coming up tonight. Let's see what's going on there. I suppose I should look at the time just to make sure. We're at 40 minutes. We got plenty of time, and there's plenty of you people in the chat. I appreciate watching in the chat, and I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. It's very, very cool. Let me just see who's here. Let's find out what's coming up in the participants. Excuse me. Good God, hold on. There we go. A Sage is here. Aussie Tiger Rockstar fams. Hey, Aussie Tiger, I just got together with one of your fellow citizens of Australia, Cade Moya. We did a podcast together. It was posted last Friday on our podcast, but I don't know if you're familiar with this podcast or not, but it's called Believe. A really good guy. I really like Cade. So check it out, definitely. Barry is in here. How you doing, Barry? Beth Fierce is in here. Good to see you, Beth. Bigfoot in Germany. How you doing, brother? Duke, of course. It's a pleasure to see you as always. Cha-Cha is in here. Good to see you, Cha-Cha. Elaine Clifford. How you doing, Elaine? HSFL Paranormal. How you doing, HSFL? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. Isaac Areola is in here. Lucy Reed is in here. How you doing, Lucy? Matthew Learned. Good to see you. Noli 420. Noli, good to see you. Real Dill is in here. And Tesla Tech 89 is in here. Good to see you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And I know there was more before. I know that Duck Sauce was in here as well. So, I don't know. I just don't think that list is real. Chris Jarvis. How you doing, Chris Jarvis? Good to see you. Thanks for being here. Half Q is here. Good to see you as well. See, that list is not good that YouTube gives me. So, it's not comprehensive at all. Duck Sauce. There you are. Yeah, I knew you were here. It didn't list you, though. Good to see you, Sage. Thank you. But yeah, if I missed your name, just give me a notice in the chat, and I'll try to see it and shout you out as well. Elaine. Me, I am Elaine. You're Cha-Cha. Hey, Sandy Smart. Good to see you. Thank you for coming in. Cameron. Aloha. Oh, Sandy Smart says aloha. Aloha. Mahalo. All right. Let's continue. Lisa, how you doing? All right. So, let's go to Virginia and see what's going on there. So in Virginia, just a little background before I get to the story. My grandfather, Papa, died on August 19th, 1999. And, oh, Cha-Cha's needy. Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry, Dia. I hope your needs are being met. That's all I can say. All right. He died on August 19th, 1999. He had just been on dialysis for 4 years and died in the hospital of heart failure. On Tuesday, August 17th, he told the doctor that he didn't have but about 2 more days to live, and he was actually right. We thought that we would lose my grandmother, Granny, not long after my papa died, but she proved all of us wrong. She had taken care of him since the day he got sick, and that was all she had known for 4 years. They'd been married over 56 years. Fast forward to 2006, Granny was diagnosed with lung, bone, and stomach cancer on August 15th, 2006. The following Wednesday, sorry, I'm just froggy as hell. The following Wednesday, she had a portacath put in to start chemo. On that Friday, found out she had 4th stage brain cancer. After finding out that she had the brain cancer, she opted not to do chemo or radiation and just live out the rest of her days however God chose fit. Good for you. I think that's the right way to do it. My parents lived with my grandparents since my papa had gotten sick, and my kids and I only lived about 8 miles from them. We were down there a lot. But after she was diagnosed with cancer, we were down there every day. 2 weeks before Granny died, we were down visiting, and her and I were sitting on the front porch. She looked at me and said, "Guess who came to visit me today?" Well, my reply was, "I don't know. I was trying to guess who had stopped by to see her that maybe hadn't been around for a while, and after a few wrong guesses, I finally said, I don't know." Her reply was, "Papa." Believing that this was very well possible, I asked her when and what had happened. She began to tell me about how she had gotten up out of bed that morning, went into the kitchen to fix her some toast, and take with her medicine, and went back to the bedroom to watch television, and she had just sat down on the bed when he appeared at the window and started to walk over to her. Of course, this caught her by surprise, and she started to cry, and he simply told her that he was coming to get her soon. And she asked him when, and all he said was, soon, and then he just disappeared. She told me that she sat there for about an hour crying and asked him to come back just one more time. On Friday, October 13th, we had gone down there to visit, and she was a little slow but still coherent. As my kids and I were about to leave, she asked me to wait for just 30 minutes, and I told her that I couldn't and that we would be back down there first thing on Saturday. But by the time we arrived Saturday, she was not coherent and could only keep her eyes open for about 30 seconds at a time at the most. And she died at 10:24 on Sunday, October 15th. My mom said that before she took her last breath, that she smiled and waved. One of her sisters that was there said, "Did you see her wave at us?" My mom's reply was, she wasn't waving at us. She was waving at the ones we couldn't see, the ones that came to get her. I know that Papa was one of the ones that came to meet her, because he told her that he was coming to get her, and the one thing that I will regret until the day that I die is that I didn't wait just 30 more minutes. If I had known what was about to happen, I would have stayed. I have learned the hard way not to take people in your life for granted and cherish every single moment with them. You are never promised tomorrow, only the day at hand. Yeah, that's tough. I wonder what would have happened in those 30 minutes. What did she want to say, or what was she going to share? That's the tough part, is living with those unknowns. All right, California next, ladies and gentlemen. All right, this is my first submission, and I'm mainly posting it because I want to know what it is, and it scares the heck out of me to this day. The time is around 10:30 to midnight, and I was laying in bed. I was sleeping normally. I don't have any recollections of weird dreams or anything, and the first out of the ordinary event was that my dog began barking loudly. And this just wasn't a, "Hey, there's a squirrel in the backyard" bark. It was a panicked, whiny bark. I woke up as he bolted out my bedroom door, and I sat up and closed the door, which he had opened, and lay back down. Shortly after, I clearly heard footsteps walking down my hall. The layout of my hall is this. On one side is my parents' room, and then comes a bathroom, and then my room. And then on the other end is my sister's room, and these footsteps were coming from my parents' room, and naturally I thought it was just Mom or Dad coming to see why the dog was barking, and then I realized that the footsteps were much too light. They sounded like my little sister, who was about 7 at the time. However, the person walking down the hall couldn't be her. She was asleep in her room on the other end of the hall. The footsteps got slowly closer, and I lay there terrified. They reached my door and stopped. They did not begin again. That is creepy. It's like, yeah, I'm going to walk up to your door and then disappear. I'm going to leave you stew with that tonight. That's horrible. That's just got to be a mind game by them. You know they got to be screwing with you. All right, Oklahoma's next, ladies and gentlemen. I'm 15 and I live in Oklahoma, and I have all of my life. I recently stumbled upon this site while doing some research of my own. And it seems as though I can ask for advice when it comes to the paranormal, and many people seem to know what they're talking about, so maybe you all can help. Sometimes I hear things, voices, when I'm alone, but they're not normal voices, like someone invisible is talking to me. It's more like I feel them, like they're in my head, and they're clearer than anything I can actually physically hear. And they never say much. It's just normally a word or two, like to say my name a lot or gibberish. I can remember hearing these things from childhood. Once in particular, I remembered being in my grandmother's house, and she lives in an old turn-of-the-century sandstone house, which is really popular amongst the more well-off people that lived in the small Midwestern town I grew up in. It was once converted into a hospital, and I don't know if it has anything to do with the general air of creepiness that surrounds it, but I think it might. Well, as a child, I would stay long extended periods at that house and roaming the second story alone, and I can remember walking down the small hallway and hearing something say my name, and not just hearing it, just feeling it in my head. And needless to say, it really frightened me a lot, and I ran down the stairs in absolute terror. It happens more now, but I'd forgotten about it until recently, upon the death of my grandfather, whom I was very close to. But now it's come back, and it's a little different. Sometimes I feel something just touching me. Like the other night I was laying in bed and I felt the side of my face start to tingle from the temple to the jawline, and it's frightening, but I can't say for sure that it's paranormal or not. Is it the result of my overactive imagination, or is it a ghost, or possibly an undiagnosed case of schizophrenia? That's a tough one. I don't know. Because honestly, for some people it's a real fine line between mental illness and paranormal. And it's hard sometimes to figure out which side that should be classified on. I just think that it's got to at least be a consideration for anybody. You gotta at least address those things to know whether you're actually experiencing something or you're just being crazy. But honestly, I think that spirits are actually very common, and I think we probably run into them a whole lot more than we think we do. They might just be a weird feeling most of the times, or just a cold spot, or just a weird charge in the air. They might be, just a smell, a random smell that you run across in a room. Those may all be spiritual presences, but they don't always move things. They don't always make sounds. They don't always throw things around. In fact, I think those events are actually quite rare. I think most often they're just around and they're just watching. They're just doing what they do. And in a lot of cases, they're just observing. And maybe we're entertaining. I don't know. For those that are kind of stuck, maybe they just like to watch us do our lives because they aren't currently doing theirs anymore. So maybe they're learning from us. Maybe the whole unfinished business is resolved sometimes by watching us finish our business. I don't know. I mean, some people learn by watching TV. And maybe we're just another version of that, like I learn a lot of things from YouTube, right? So if I want to know something, I YouTube it and check it out, and I figure it out, and based upon what people show me on these videos. So maybe it's part of how these spirits process their unfinished business, is they watch us finish our business, and that helps them process their own and maybe move on. So I think that they're always around. I really do. I think that we are present in, the spirits are always present in some degree or another, and they're not always, flamboyant and off the wall. Sometimes they're just really subtle things that are lingering around, and maybe they're just trying to figure out their own stuff by watching us. Just a thought, my 2 cents. All right, we're going to Minnesota, my old stomping grounds, Minnesota. I got family there too. All right, this one is, we did an investigation in South Minneapolis house that has a lot of history involving the usual electrical anomalies. Stereos ranging in volume, lights flickering on only at night. We sent in a team of trained investigators over several investigations to record and research the activity we witnessed, the owner actually attempting to turn down the volume when it increased, with no success. We have investigated this house continuously for 7 years, and the levels of activity have ranged from a stereo turning up and down to a person actually being pushed down. His feet was pulled out and he dropped to the middle of the kitchen. We used EMF detectors, EVP recorders, thermocouplers, infrared digital video recorders, and still image photo recorders to evaluate the events. We've had the stove turned on right after we set an oil lamp on the burner by mistake. Oh, God. During an all-night investigation, team members were woken up to a video camera light turning on and facing the area they were sleeping in during the investigation. We have collected 3 shattered pictures of our investigations where a lot of activity has existed in the past. Please view the pictures here. And so I guess we could do that. Oh, these are really tiny pictures. Let me see if any of them get bigger. They're actually pretty good pictures, though, so I'm going to put them up. I'm going to show you guys these pictures. Let me just look at the clock here quick, too. Because, yeah, this will be the close of the show. I'm going to show you these pictures about this investigation in Minnesota. It's pretty cool. It's actually, I think they really caught something here, but let me get back to the beginning and I'll put it up on the screen. Let's see. Here's the first. I'm really not sure what we're seeing on this one, but here, I'll put it on full screen here. Hold on. Let me just adjust this a little. There we go. That's as big as I can make it. It's pretty tiny, but I'm not sure what we're seeing, if it's just these strange shadows on the wall or what. I don't know if it's this light anomaly in front of this black deal here. I don't know, but it's dated 2008, so you can see that old style TV. These are plenty old. And here's the next one. This one looks really pretty bizarre. That is a free-floating mist of some kind. It could be something dangling in front of the lens, but this is pretty profound. If it was just a wisp, I'd say maybe it's a hair, but this is actually pretty big. So it'd be hard to inadvertently do that. If it's just a hair, a little wisp, and it could be a hair. Most times we don't really see the hairs unless we're looking for hairs. So, but this mist is pretty significant. And then the third one is this, and this is in the same area. So that to me is really curious. It looks like they really caught some pretty profound photos here, ladies and gentlemen. That is intense. Again, going back through them, the first one is this. I assume it must be this, although it's not really explained real well in the narrative of the story. But this one, I think, is pretty profound. And then, of course, this one, something on the bed, or looking like it's on the bed, and it's in the middle of the frame, which leads me to believe it's maybe not the dangly string or the dangly hair, and that kind of comes in from out of frame. This is in the frame, as is this. This appears to be pretty much in the frame, although the top of it is just on the edge. But still, these are terribly low, resolution images. So, unfortunately, we're not going to get a lot of detail here to really try to ascertain, whether it is indeed paranormal. But it could be. It could be. I don't see anything here that raises red flags for me. So, maybe they really caught something. And if they did, fantastic job, guys. That's pretty cool. So, I guess that brings us to the end of our show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I had a good time giving it to you, bringing it to you. I always love you guys, and I always love being here and doing the shows. Again, make sure to check out the podcast. If you like the Portal song, the theme song, check the Bandcamp link below in the description. You can download your own copy. And if you want to get some amazing Portal gear, check out the Teespring link in the description as well. We've got t-shirts, hats, phone cases, stickers, mugs, and some leggings, actually, for the ladies. So I don't know if ladies want to have the Paranormal Portal emblazoned on their leg all the way down, but I don't know. I thought they were cool, so we went with it. I don't think we've sold it yet, but we're just putting it out there. So anyway, I guess it's going to wrap it up for tonight, guys. Thank you all for all your love and support. Thank you for being here tonight. And if you're not here watching the live show and you're watching the replay, thank you so much. You guys are amazing. Please leave comments on the videos. That certainly also, just like the likes, comments actually help give us traction as well. So the more comments you guys leave, the better as far as the YouTube scoring. So for whatever that's worth, and we are trying to build not only the podcast but our YouTube presence. So anything you can do would be a great help. And if you know people that are into the paranormal, let them know about the Portal. Maybe they'll like it. Maybe they will. I'm just saying, give them the option. So I love you all. Be good, be kind, be nice. Take care of each other. Help each other out. Find the magic in every day, and remember to laugh as much as you can, guys. I love you, and sweet dreams.